Hello, and welcome back to episode 55 of Vox Jed Fight About It. And today we are having a day, indeed. We kind of started on a weird rough and tumble moment, and we talked about that in the pre-show. But now we're in the main show, which means we get the meaty, awesome topics like Death Stranding 2 that I didn't get to talk about last week because I didn't really play very much of it.
That's gonna be a lot of this week, viewer, listener. Take this into consideration with your viewing experience here. That this is gonna be a lot of. We didn't get to it last week because we were too busy shooting the shit. We might be too busy shooting the shit and making good content this week to make more content and cover all the topics we want to cover. So sorry if we come off a little stilted this week. We want to get to these, but we aren't gonna stop ranting. We aren't gonna stop rambling. It will never end. Let's talk about Death Stranding 2. You want to take it away, Jed?
Oh my god, dude. Kojima put out a new video game, and it's a Kojima game, man. Every time he creates one, I kind of have this moment where I'm like, this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one that's like dog shit, and then everybody who just is not a big fan of Kojima is going to fucking lose their minds and finally have some ammunition. And no, this game is fucking good. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for it, but oh man!
Hey, did we stream the last Game Awards or the Game Awards before that? Or did we record that at all?
So
do we have your reaction to the
PS2
announcement on record? Because I want to talk about
that.
Probably
do.
About that because you were like, "Oh, Kojima's here. Kojima's here. He's probably going to talk more about whatever new game he's working on. Maybe it's a Death Stranding sequel." PS2. This shit looks like it sucks. This looks like. Oh, man. This looks way too Kojima to be any good. Man, he's really got up his own ass with this one. This one's gonna be the one that's just ass. You know? That's what you were on about, of just because I know how it is when you have, all these creatives fall off at some point. They make their bad one at some stage. No matter how good you are, you will always do that. I make a bad one pretty regularly, in fact. But I'm no Hideo Kojima. And Hideo Kojima clearly hasn't hit that point either. Based on Death Stranding 2.
I guess not.
I was just curious because it's dude, you seemed so vehemently against. I remember you being against the shortening of the title to DS2, which I also thought was
I thought that's how it was
fucking pretentious, and we thought that's just how they were going. They said it in the announcement, that was they only called it Death Stranding the sequel to Death Stranding, and DS2, and so
I don't even think it was DS2.
Like it was gonna be.
I think it was just D2.
Nah, there was an S in there.
Wasn't it?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But
I made some Nintendo handheld jokes at the time.
Yeah.
Using the touch screen to shake the baby and shit. Anyway.
But oh man, no, yeah, the game was good. A lot of people will say Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriot is where he fell off, and I mean, yeah, I guess you can agree with that. That's it's okay to be wrong.
The thing is, from what I hear, after 3, anything after a little ways after 3 is mostly is not Kojima's fault as much as it is Konami's fault. Not Capcom. I was about to blame Capcom. Leave the Pac-Man company out of this.
Especially with 5, at least. I think 4 was Kojima had some good say in it, and then it didn't get really received all that well. So then Metal Gear Solid 5 was happening, and halfway through it, Konami was like, we don't want to pay for another half of the game. Sorry. Get the fuck out of here. And that's pretty much what happened. From what I understand. And I am just glad that he got to, it makes me really excited for more Kojima projects, because, Death Stranding 1 very well could have just been a fluke. I was glad to accept Kojima had his day in the sun, made this, and now might have a moment and is not gonna do anything else good. But no, just as good as the first one.
Because as somebody who doesn't really keep up with the Kojima stuff all that much, and I'm not really a big Metal Gear guy and this and that, I could, watching you play Death Stranding, I could see the cracks in the armor. I could see like the
Oh, yeah.
potential for like if this part of this game is in the sequel more, it's going to suck. You know, if they aren't better at this aspect, it will be pretty bad. But like they generally manage to like keep it all right. Like Death Stranding 2 seems like a
Yeah.
marked improvement over the first one in genuinely every way. And so it feels kind of silly in hindsight to look at the first game and go, "Oh man, what a flawed piece of junk that was." You know? Cuz I think it was a flawed masterpiece, but I think honestly, now that I say it out loud, I think it's honestly like a Doom. I think it's going to be a Doom Eternal situation where like we look at Doom 2016 as like the shittier younger cousin of Doom Eternal because they just improved it in every single way. And I think that will be less so with this because of like, you know, the story being told actively being like pretty important. And so like the gameplay improvements aren't necessarily the only thing that'll dictate this one being better. But like I think it will be seen as like people are going to play 2 like you have, where like, yeah, I played Death Stranding 1 when it came out, and now I'm playing Death Stranding 2 when it comes out, and maybe I'll replay the first one after this since it's been a couple years, and then boot up the first one and go, well, what about this, and this? What about these conveniences from the second game? They didn't have those? I remember them having those, and people are gonna like realize like, wow, Death Stranding 2 is pretty fucking good. Anyway, you know,
yeah.
You got more points about Death Stranding 2?
Yeah. Because especially, like, a lot of the issues people had with 1 is resolved in a way that is kind of still sticking to your guns. Because a lot of people were like, this is a walking simulator. You don't do fucking anything except walk and climb over hills and then occasionally sneak over hills. And it's like, yeah, no, that's fair. Like, there were like 3 or 4 countable areas that would have enemies in it. And then, you know, you would have the occasional boss fight that you could replay. But day-to-day gameplay was really just walking. And no, in this game, like, about half of the missions I've done have entailed fighting now. Like, they've leaned pretty heavily into it being more combat-based, which is pretty cool. Where it's like, in the first game, non-lethally, you had, like, a beanbag gun, a taser, and a bola gun. And you could tie people up. Like, those were your options. And then you would get lethal options later in the game. However, when you kill somebody in this game, they get turned into, like, a mini nuke. So then your job is to either get them to an incinerator yourself, which means that why the fuck did you bother even killing them? Like, why are you using lethal weapons if you're going to have to pick up all the bodies and do cleanup and take them to incinerators? And in this game, they've kind of modified it to where it's like the main weapon in the game is non-lethal. There are non-lethal shotguns, pistols, grenade launchers, everything. Every type of weapon you can use, and you don't have to worry about body cleanup at all. And as cool as that concept was in the first game, it was not very fun to play, in my opinion. Where it's just like, I want to just play the game, man. I don't want to have to play like cleanup after this so that I can fucking use the weapons that I've been given, you know? But yeah, that's one of the major improvements for me gameplay wise, has just made it like way more enjoyable to play the in between parts that aren't the writing, because that was my favorite part of Death Stranding 1. But yeah, Death Stranding is really good. That's what I have to say about it. I have made it to halfway through chapter 3, I'm pretty sure. So
get into spoilers?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into spoilers. It's still pretty new. I think next episode I would be willing to talk about spoilers, because that'll be like 4 weeks out from when it came out.
Especially, like, I don't know if we want to get into spoilers for something that new this early on into the show, too.
Exactly.
Like, the first topic of the show is a spoilers topic. But, yeah, no, I like Death Stranding. I like what I've seen of it. I'm not, like, super hooked or obsessed. I like the way they've made that transition, because a lot of people liked Death Stranding 1. Like, a lot of the fans of Death Stranding 1 liked it because it was such just, like, it's a walking sim, you know? It's good, it's nice. It's you know, it's post-apocalyptic chill vibes, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like, moving to 2, you're, like, fighting guys with pizzas, and you're, like, getting your ass kicked in the fucking middle of Australia. and like this and that, and you're like hitting the shit out of tentacle monsters on the regular, which I guess isn't completely new, but you know, there's a lot more action to be had in this one, and I'm shocked that like more of the diehard fans aren't more. God damn it, dude. Why is it like this? Why the hell is the game that I played because it allowed me to sit down and kind of take my time and deliver packages and experience a story? Why is it now an actual game with gameplay? You know?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I think they made that transition to a more lively gameplay format, at least as a viewer, well enough that people don't seem to care. You know, I don't hear any I don't hear any pushback. People love it, in fact, and I find that like really really impressive.
I'll tell you why.
The success of this. Why?
Kojima actually talked about it, where he was like, okay, man, everybody who like has acted in these games don't like video games. And they don't get to like experience the story they were a part of. He made like he literally made a mode for Norman Reedus in the video game to allow him to play the video
Norman
game.
Reedus mode.
It was just like baby easy mode. Yeah, that's why, is because if anybody wants that, they can have it. There's literally a button when you die that says pretend you won. I'm not kidding you.
Are you serious? That's an actual thing you get. It's the pretend
that is an actual button.
Is it labeled that way?
Yes!
It says verbatim, pretend you won on the screen?
Yeah!
I think that would be mad. I think if I lost a boss fight that I was having trouble with, and every time I died I had to look down at the pretend you won button prompt, I think I would send my fucking DualSense controller flying through my television.
Kojima, like, that's another thing where it's like, this is so Kojima, dude. Do you remember the chicken hat? Where it's like, no, we'll gladly let you play the rest of our game, but you're gonna feel a little bit silly about it.
I like that though. I personally feel like nobody should necessarily be shamed for the difficulty they play on. However, if you're in the middle of in the middle of the game on a difficulty you selected, and you're having a hard enough time you need to forfeit, I feel like the game should be allowed to tease you a good bit about that. Like, I feel like that's perfectly okay for the game to have a sense of humor in that way and be kind of a dick to you for like, aha, look at you, choosing baby mode halfway through. You know, I don't know why like, it's a rhyming like bridge troll of a video game now, but you know, either way.
Yeah, and I guess my final thing on it is that if you're playing the game right now, interact with everything that you can. I had a character at some point in time, this is an anecdote that I want to go into, I had a character just walk up to me and go like, hey, you got that song from somebody, I really like that song. And then if you play it, he starts dancing in the corner and gives you like a whole fucking like private dance choreography for just like happening to play the song that he made an off comment about. And I was like, that was really cool. That was a very like, oh shit, okay. There are things in this game that people haven't found yet that I like I get to experience for myself too. So yeah, interact with what you can if you're playing the game. But I think that's our Death Stranding talk. I don't want to talk about this for like I could talk about this forever.
No.
And then it could trail off to more Kojima.
I totally don't mind staying on Death Stranding for a minute. If there's more to be covered here, let's cover it. You know, bro.
Oh yeah, I've just I've got nothing more that wouldn't fall into some more spoilery territories. So I want to give it a couple of weeks before I talk about it again. Give it more room to breathe. Maybe I'll finish it and then come back on the podcast and talk about it. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about a game we have been playing. Let's talk about something brand new. I was going to say let's talk about another game we've been playing, but let me talk to you about a game that we haven't been playing because the update for it isn't out just yet. They're bringing back the Copper Golem. Did you know about this?
Yeah, I saw.
He's coming out.
I did see that. I'm really happy about that. I like the Copper Golem a lot, dude.
He's the
such
first
a guy.
feature announced of the next game drop that we're getting. And of course people are being obnoxious about it. Let's talk about that for just a touch. I don't want to give it too much credence. But why is it that the Minecraft update cycle is so confusing to the denizens of the internet? Like, every single time they release, here's what our first feature is of the new snapshots of the new update that's going to come out in like 6 months. Or like a couple months for these drops, because they're meant to be smaller updates. And then the whole Twitter reply section is, wow, you're adding one mob that does one thing. Wow, what an update, guys. Awesome. Like, it's a full feature update every time. And it's like, dude, what are we doing here? The Minecraft community is fucking ridiculous. We talked about this when we were talking about the Hytale stuff. But as a first feature, I like this. We are also getting copper tools and armor, which I'm not sure about. I'm pro those things, but only for one reason, and one reason only. Everybody post copper being added has been in the position where they have an inventory full of fucking raw copper and they haven't found a single piece of iron because of it. Because the caves are fucking coated in copper these days. So
that's what
having
I
that
think.
is like a cheapo armor source, because that's what it is. It's like, I think its durability is like, it's on par with iron and everything, except like its durability is like leather, and so like it'll fall the fuck apart after a little while. So like that and the tools, and they're pretty enchantable. Apparently, they take enchants really well. I didn't realize that was a thing. That Minecraft kept up with on its back end of like different tool types have like higher or lower chances for like being good enchants at all.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
If you slot a gold variant of whatever tool you're going to enchant in it first, and then switch to the thing you're going to actually enchant, it'll always be a better enchantment.
Goddamn, I've never kept up with that meta. That is insane. I'm gonna start using that. I always have so much goddamn gold and nothing to do with it just yet. You know what I hope they do?
But I like that a lot.
I hope they make the fucking rails cheaper. Let us make copper rails, damn it, that are powered. Because like, if I could make my railways out of copper, I would have so many more railways. And that is simply because I fucking, like, dude, you have to have, like, for 16 rails, you have to have 6 iron and 1 stick to go not even a chunk. Or to go 1 chunk. That is 1 chunk across of space. But that's not even 32 goddamn blocks. So, like, if you want to get out your front door, you know, and then powered rails are gold and redstone. 6 pieces of gold, 1 piece of redstone every time. For 8 of them, not 16, 8.
Like, genuinely, for making rail systems, I pretty much always am just like, alright, we want a rail system in this world. I'm gonna go make an iron farm, a gold farm, and a witch farm now. Like, that's where I'm gonna go do. That's kind of what we need if this is going to be feasible, like, at all. And I don't like that. I think that's a sad part of the game when you have to, like, do that for rail systems. So I do think there being an alternative for copper. I just don't know how they would balance it. They would have to, like, rebalance all rails, you know? I guess they could be, like, slower.
A lot of those crafting recipes, like rails and fences and shit like that, and trapdoors need a rework on how they're made, and how many, or at least how many you get per make, because 2 trapdoors out of 6 full blocks of wood makes no fucking sense. That makes no fucking sense, and like it's just resource inefficient. I hate it. Anyway, I got a lot of qualms about it, but resource efficiency has gone up significantly. You know why? If you want your items sorted in your chests automatically, you no longer need fucking hoppers in the slightest. You need hopper golems. They can just do that.
Oh!
You give them an item, they'll open a chest, and then in that chest, they'll designate, like, yeah, this chest is this item. All right. So now when you hand me that item, I'm gonna go put it over there for you. And I've already seen footage, because they're in the latest snapshot of the Bedrock, or the latest Bedrock beta. They don't do snapshots, I guess. Because they call them fucking betas. But in the latest Bedrock beta, they're already in there. And, like, I'm already seeing, like, videos of people's bases and their, like, massive storage rooms with, like, 6 or 7 copper golems shuffling around. Like the fucking, like,
I think
bank
that's
tellers.
adorable.
And they're, like, running around, and they're opening chests, putting things away. They're doing little animations for all of it. It's all very cute. It's all very, like, nice. It looks like...
That is perfect.
It reminds me of, like...
This is the perfect update.
Yeah, this is amazing. I love this. It just reminds me of, like, just... Oh, not bankers, stockbrokers, and how they fucking just run the fuck around back and forth consistently. You know, it's good.
You know what this means? This opens up storage systems for people who are not like me, who are willing to, like, put in hours for grinding.
I genuinely, I will just sort the items manually. It's less work.
Exactly. Yeah, where it's like, for me, it's worth it for me because that's the enjoyment that I get out of it, is making
you
these
enjoy
systems
making
and having
those.
cool, complex
and you can
shit.
incorporate the golems into those to
Oh,
make
yeah.
them more efficient too. I've seen that too. Razeworks already has a video out on it. Opinions on him be damned.
I don't know
apparently
anything about that guy.
people don't like Razeworks. Or they. I'm not sure what their gender identity is. I don't know god all about fucking Razeworks. I've heard people use he him pronouns for Razeworks, so that's what I'm gonna do. Razeworks is like a very prolific redstone creator for Minecraft, and they've made a shitload of farms that you would be familiar with. But apparently, day one they basically just made a storage system and then slapped a golem on top of the hoppers to like sort into the hoppers, and went, there we go. This is a raised golem sorting system. This is my own design, my own creation, and it's like, well, all right, man. You know, and people are like, oh no, like, God forbid. And apparently they've had an issue with calling other people out or something for like stealing their designs, even though their designs are like very simple. I don't know. I have I'm not tapped into that drama at all. I just felt like it should be worth saying because I'm not tapped into it. I'm just like, opinions on them be damned. You know, there are people
there is a way to do it.
doing it. Yeah. Anyway, they can be part of those systems. They're really easy to make. You take literally any copper block and you put like a pumpkin on top of it, and you'll get a golem as the top block, and the copper block you put under him will become a copper chest, which is the new item. We have copper chests now. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I thought the difference was when you make the golem, he's assigned to that chest, and then he will put things in that chest for you when you give them to him. But like, now that I've been seeing videos of them using regular chests. Hell, I've seen them use all sorts of shit. And so it's like, I got no idea. I got no fucking clue what the copper chests do that regular chests don't do. Because there's so many like mixed results on that without just opening it. You gotta
a copper golem will take items from copper chests and then put them into normal chests. So that's their input.
That acts as your input chest for a golem.
Yeah.
Is like,
But you can just craft them. So if you want a build with that in it, there you go. I mean, it won't work sorting system wise, but you know.
No, but you'll be able to just,
I guess.
I like the look of them. I like the look of them a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's funny that copper came out and everybody was immediately like, this is the most useless shit in the world. After you just added more useless shit to the game, Mojang, what the hell are you doing, you bunch of dicks? And I think they took that to heart because ever since then, every update has given copper a brand new, unrelated use to the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, which is good. I'm really happy about that. That I didn't get to talk about it. That like iron tools level breakability of objects, but leather durability is such a good idea because then fuck it. You can walk around with a stone pickaxe and then diamonds. Bust out the copper pickaxe because you're not wanting to waste iron on it. That allows like iron to be a more flexible resource too. I really like that.
Yeah. Like, it allows,
like the first three iron does not need to be a pickaxe. Yeah.
And that's great. That's
really nice.
Give me the copper bucket. That'll be awesome for early game. Copper bucket. What are you gonna use that for?
Literally just a bucket. No, like I literally just want a bucket that's not made of iron, man. Yeah, early game for me is always let me go find 3 iron to make a bucket to make a farm.
Yeah, buckets are a weird one. Buckets are like a strangely hard thing to get because it's like buckets alone actually pretty much limit you down to like, you want to start a farm? Do you want it to be like kind of like sunken into the side of a beach? No? Okay, go down to the mines now for like half an hour and then come back up, and then you can have food for the first time ever. You know? I think the modern game's a little too reliant on loot chests for early game stuff. A little bit, I'd say. I
agree.
Like, I think the loot chests need to be nerfed a touch, or at least structure frequency needs to be turned the hell down by default. You know?
Yeah, because for me, like, I don't know. I do also appreciate loot chests, but it also makes it so that sometimes you can just have a dud game where it's like, oh shit, a village. There's no wheat here, and there's no fucking... The one chest that I found had 3 saplings and an apple in it. Alright. Fuck, man. I guess I won't get my, typical 3 iron for the bucket that I was gonna make out of the shit from here, you know? Like, if they
But
were a little bit
honestly,
more consistent. But yeah.
as a longtime player, I appreciate the loot chest's existence for the sake of I can just run around for the first hour of the game and just loot shit instead of playing the game, and then I will just have iron equipment. Like, I'll be good enough to just build a house real quick and actually start the game in earnest. That's kind of what my playthroughs have become, is spawn, look around, is there a village? No. Chop down a tree, go into the mines, get iron, come out, spend that as the first 30 minutes, build the house, go. And then alternatively, is there a village? Yes, loot it. Keep looting shit in sequence until I run out of shit to loot. And usually that results in I have enough to just get me going now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, like, build a house real quick.
As, like, a
because
long-term
that's
player.
what I did. That's what I did for our hardcore playthrough, because you went into the mines immediately, and I was like, by that point, I think we were on our, like, 4th attempt. So I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not going back in the mines to get 3 iron to, like, cobble my way through this. I'm gonna find a structure, man. The structure is gonna, like, give us the boon we need to get going. And I found it, and it worked. I wish it was a little bit less, I was a little bit less reliant on it, I should say. Because, like, I've just adapted to hating the early game of Minecraft, I think. I don't know why.
At this stage, I boot Minecraft and I go, man, I can't wait to start a new world. I can't wait to get into a project. Like, and that's usually what it is like, oh man, think of all the cool projects that I'll get to do in this world. And then the first day of it, after you've just spent all that time hyping yourself up to actually play, is get stuff. That's why I'm so, like, strict about this realm we have right now of just like, I'm just gonna play on this world forever. I'm done with the early game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the early game this time, and I'm gonna try and do it different than I've ever done it. And, like, kind of play it, like, loose of, like, I've never gotten a sniffer before, let me go do that. Or I've never done this before, let me do that. Or, one thing I've somehow missed in all of my years, I've never fought the Wither alone. Not once.
Really?
Genuinely, that's just a part of the game that escapes me. Because, like, if you have a decent set of enchanted tools, I just, like, don't typically take on projects that I need a beacon for. And if I do take on projects that big, it's usually because I want somebody else to be able to see them. And that usually means I'm on a server where other people have already fought the Wither 80 or 90 fucking times and just have nether stars coming out of their ears, you know?
Yeah, where it's like, fuck it, I don't need to anyway.
Because, like, why
that's really
bother,
interesting. That's something you should do.
I find it a
like,
very intimidating fight to do just because of the destructive nature of it, but not so when you consider, you know, do it under the end portal, do it into the side of a mountain, you know, have a time with it.
I think that's one of the things that I like to do when I get into a Minecraft world, is that the first time that I fight the Ender Dragon or the Wither will always be like a raw fight. I'm always going to dig down, find a hole for the Wither, you know, build him and actually fight him. And then from then on, I can, you know, farm the Wither. Because that's the thing about the Wither, is that it's so, like, unimpressive every time you get to it. You're worried about it, where it's like, okay, this thing might fucking throw some shit up, it might destroy some shit, and then it's like, dude, one iron golem can kill this guy. We're good.
Yeah, you bring more iron golem. There was one time we brought some iron golems and we backed away and it just worked. Like, that's mostly why I haven't done it. It's like, because I have had a beacon in single player before, but I've farmed him. I've just sat there and fucking farmed him, like, straight away. Like, I think the only way I've ever had, like, a consistent beacon source is, like, dude, if I'm gonna go fight and if I'm gonna go through the process of fighting and killing the Wither, and I'm gonna have to sit for, like, several hours to gather Wither skulls and shit, because I'm never lucky enough to get them within a day. I have to spend multiple play sessions doing that every time. And so it's just like, fuck it. If it's gonna take me 3 or 4 play sessions of several hours, what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna build a fucking Wither skeleton farm. And then I'm gonna build a Wither farm right fucking next to it. And I'm just gonna do it that way. And then instead, for my trouble of spending 3 fucking days of my free time doing this, and to get 1 beacon, I'll do this and get infinite beacons, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I like Minecraft though.
But yeah,
I've come to be pretty healthy with it, where it's just like, I don't know. I don't play it every day. I play it like once a month, and I have a time with it, and then I'm good for right now. You know, like once a month I'll tune in once or twice, and I'll have a time, and I think that's what's gonna make this Forever World last, is just like frequent check-ins to do shit. I gotta finish building the train station. I want to do that. I'm gonna do that. I just gotta log in and do it, you know? And it's just, a day will come along when I feel like building the train station, and I will go build the train station.
Yeah, and I think for me, I realized that I actually burned myself out on Minecraft for the first time by doing content with it. Of just like, there was a point, and I've talked about this before, but there was a point with like getting ready for Willow that was a lot of just like, every time I'm awake and I'm not doing something, I'm at my desk and I'm playing Minecraft. And it was to the point where it wasn't because I wanted to, it was just things had to get done. And I realized that, like, every waking moment, I'm working. I'm in a working headspace. And it was just, like, I had to take, like, a moment away from Minecraft, and I'm trying to, like, get my footing back a little bit in playing it, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. But that's just where we're at with Minecraft as a unit, really. Is just sort of just playing it on the occasion. Like, I want to go and get my happy gassed at some point. I'm kind of just waiting on, like, this new drop, I've barely played it, because I haven't been able to play it on the Realm yet, because I've been waiting on mods to update for, like, client-side, like, comforts, you know? Like, because I've genuinely just been willing to wait a week or two, and, like, hold off on it, just for the sake of, like, well, the mod pack I use for all my, like, client-side stuff will be updated soon. Doesn't look like it will. Now that we're like 3 weeks out, it's looking like that's not like really an option. Maybe I'm not willing to wait all that long, but like, you know, I'll probably go and just assemble my own pack based on that pack again, like I usually do, and then like update it on my own at need, because that's so much more convenient, honestly, than using somebody else's pack. Using somebody else's pack is good for, I just want to play a mod pack. I don't even want to know. I want the joy of discovery of not really knowing what's in it. Let me go pick out a curated mod pack, which is not something I do terribly often, and that I'd love to do more with Minecraft, of just, hey, this month, instead of playing on my main vanilla world, I'm gonna take a detour, and we're gonna go play I'm gonna go play some fucking zombie survival Minecraft, you know? Where it's, like, catered to be a zombie survival game instead, or fucking Cobblemon, or this or that, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I want to get into more, like, mod in Minecraft. I got so adapted to the Willow mod pack that I forgot that, hey, Create is, like, my favorite mod ever. And, like, that, oh, wow. I just remembered that, like, Schematica was made for Create, and we just had to work around it, and I think it's almost better for it. I think Schematica is a more
than it would have been with Create.
interesting thing because of it. Because, like, with Create, a big ass building that's at, like, several big machines is like, yeah, this is cool for, like, Create. But it's almost cooler to be like, and you did all of these farms without Create, just like vanilla Minecraft, you crammed them into the space. Yeah, I did. I really like that. That's the thing that I'm going to be pretty sad about leaving behind. But that is something that I'm going to carry into that single player, like, forever world. Is that I want to do like a Schematico. I want like every farm ever. That would be great. That would be a dream for me. But yeah, nonetheless,
part of me almost wants to, not for Schematico, because Schematico is such like, Schematico is like stuck there pretty much. Like, but
yeah,
you know, because of the mod choices that were made for that world, it's like that there's no way I can clear this out and clean it up in a way that would still be Schematico. Because, like, we use so many chipped variant blocks and shit, you know, where it just wouldn't look the same without all of that. And so it's, like, without all of that extra flourish. And so, but, like, for other builds that I've had in the past, I've genuinely considered taking those world downloads, going into world edit, taking the chunks that I actually, like, played in, and just going into my forever world and just slapping them down somewhere. Not close by, just somewhere out in the world where I know where to find them. And so that they just exist out there somewhere. But honestly, like, I don't really have all that many, and which is sad to me. Every Minecraft world I've ever played on, I've deleted. Every one of them.
Yeah, same.
I don't have any of them. I want to keep this one. I want to make some memories here. I want to stay here. You know?
Yeah, and that's the sad thing, is that I have so many builds in my memory of, like, yeah, those would be fun to revisit again at this point in my life, and it's not something that I don't know. At the time, I just wanted the world download gone, and I didn't really care. I just wanted to play the current world.
I wanted it off my list and wanted to play a new world. Yeah. And no, you just don't know what you really have with those sorts of memories till they're gone. You know.
Mhm. And it's not even that like I'm a sentimental person where it's like, yeah, I really need to have those Minecraft worlds to hold on to. It's just like sometimes I'm like, man, how the fuck did I do that again?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll just go look. I'll just go take a look. You know. But yeah. Oh man. You got anything else about Minecraft?
I don't think I do. The new patch came out, the spring patch with the happy gas and all the leaf litter and stuff, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. I'm pretty satisfied with it. From the little of it that I have gotten to play, of just like, man, it adds so much life to the game with just the leaf litter and the cactus flowers and the little like pieces of like dead brush and shit. That all of those do so much for the game that like, man, I almost can't imagine a Minecraft forest without the falling leaves anymore and like the fucking leaves all over the ground and shit.
Because we got to talk about those on the show. I'm pretty sure we had like a whole segment where we like went.
We talked about it when it was in snapshots.
Yeah. So, but like now that we've been playing it for a while, it really does help. It's a very beneficial thing for just the experience of the game.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about Minecraft necessarily. But let's move over to its sister game, that has two sister topics actually. These two topics come together pretty well. Terraria is collabing with Pal World on their new update. The main guy behind
I saw
Terraria
that
is like delaying the update to put some Pal World creatures in it, I guess, as reference. And Terraria has a lot of these, and I want to talk about it. And I want to say that I want to say that like, what is it with second rate? I guess not second rate, but like second best in category, because second rate makes it sound like Terraria is bad, but like it's not bad. It's just number 2, you know. Where it's just like, yeah, no, for what is it with number 2s and doing shit like this? Because Sonic the Hedgehog is in Magic the Gathering, and it's like Sonic the Hedgehog and Terraria are both franchises that I see as like kinda easy, for lack of a better words, of just like, yeah, no, these guys will say yeah to anybody. Literally anybody can get a collaboration with these two franchises for a couple bucks, you know?
Yeah,
it's
to some
weird
degree
how fast and loose that they play with those, you know?
I think honestly, if I was a game studio though, I think that would be a really fun thing to do. It's just like, yeah, fuck it. We're gonna fucking collaborate with everybody. We're gonna have little pieces of a bunch of different games. But it is weird that you bring it up that like second best always says that, because for the longest time, back in my day, Fortnite was second best to PUBG. And it's funny because like
by doing that,
yeah, like they became best by doing like bloating and what's it called? Collaborations? Yeah, I guess they're just collaborations. It's hard to say collaborations when it comes to Fortnite, because it's like we aren't seeing any Fortnite things in any other media. Like Fortnite is just its own singular contained thing. You know?
So it's a collaboration in Fortnite between Fortnite and whatever property or artist or whatever they're working with. And that's great. That's awesome. But I feel like putting Pal World into your game cheapens it. I feel like including pop culture references for the sake of, I think this would be fun as a creator, like as cool as that is, I think it cheapens the game. I feel the same way about those Minecraft DLCs that they make that are franchise DLCs that end up on the marketplace. But I would argue that the fucking Minecraft marketplace is a weird blind spot for Mojang as a team, because I don't think they manage that much. Like I don't think they have much say in that at all. But like, and if they do, it's where they get kind of experimental. But that would be like if they put Sonic the Hedgehog just into Minecraft like that. Like,
yeah, just wandering around.
Was just a standard
I think that's
Minecraft
the weird part.
It's like that would cheapen it to me. That would absolutely cheapen it to me. Because I got a post or something. I'm pretty sure it was somebody talking to me actually about Magic the Gathering. I just know so few people who are into it that I have a hard time believing that memory. Of somebody going, man, yeah, Magic. The collabs that Magic gets are really cool. I just wish they would stick with like. I just wish that like more people would be more like caring about the immersion of it, you know, and the like sanctity of the game or whatever. And it's like, that's kind of lame when it's just like, dude, I just kind of want to use my like, I just kind of want to use my like very in-themed creature for like adapted creature from another series cards. But these Sonic cards are like, I would be genuinely kind of mad if I was getting real into a game of Magic and a motherfucker went, all right, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just Sonic the fucking Hedgehog is here now out of nowhere. And it's like, that's funny for like a bit game, or that's cool for like a game where like that is the intention is, hey, we're coming into this with these decks, that'll be fun, let's try it, you know? Or let's do it that way. But like, in terms of regular play, I think it does kind of cheapen the game. Like, I think I kind of relate to that in a way where it's like, no, I wouldn't want to boot Terraria. Well, I guess Terraria has already done it so many times that you could get away with it. But again, like, you do it the first time and then you do it more.
I think I care more when it's not a card game, because in card games it's like, who gives a shit, man? Where like the immersion of playing a card game is like, yeah. But I do agree with you on like, because Terraria has already done it, I don't mind it very much. Like for me, it was like, yeah, there's already a fucking Don't Starve Together character in it, you know. Like that.
Yeah,
these are things that they've done before.
What do I care that there's a Pal World monster hanging out in the open, dude? I've got a companion cube following me and the arm from Death Stranding on my back, dog.
Yeah, exactly. But I do agree with you that I think it doing collaborations can definitely cheapen it, and I definitely understand it, at least from this perspective. The Magic the Gathering people, it feels like a lot of TCG stuff is very like, man, I like it this way, and I don't like it when anybody else doesn't like it this way.
Seem to be that way just in general, like extending
into
like actually that's shit of just like, I have a way that I enjoy and I think it's because I think it comes down to just video games have set rules and rule sets that you can change, and so most people have tried all the available rule sets and are okay with most of them. But with board games, there is a rule book you read, and it has suggested playstyles, yeah, but when that's not really enforced in play by anybody but the people playing it, when there's no, like, logical rule of the universe dictating that, no, you cannot move your piece right now, you know? It's a lot more fast and loose and introduces a lot more house rules, and people get really comfy in their spaces, I think, and end up, like, yeah, no, this is the way I play it every week, so this is the way I want to play it, this is the way I like to play it, can we please do it that way? You know, like, no matter what that way is, no matter how close it is to the actual rule sets. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool that there's variety. I just think that, like, that community tends to be a lot more forceful about, like, and that's not necessarily to say it's a horrid thing to do, but, like, they seem to be a lot more pressed about, yeah, I play it this way, and this is the way it should be played, you know?
Especially in, like, the D&D scene. I have had a couple of situations in D&D where it's like, for some reason, playstyles just don't mesh, and people get upset about it, you know? And that's
dirty laundry on the show.
Not really. I mean, it's hardly even dirty laundry. It's just like that tends to happen of just like, I have a very particular way of playing because I grew up with video games. So when I was introduced to tabletop games, the things that intrigued me was, oh, hey, there's shit that I can do outside of the rule book. I can take a step away with like logical reasoning and like bartering with the DM to get me to this position.
You can there's a human being you can speak to in charge of this game you're playing, and so you can just turn to them at any minute and go like, hey, I know this, like, you probably didn't think about this, but like, could I do it this way? Come on, it would work, right? You know?
Yeah. Like, logically, you have to present me a reason why this wouldn't work for me not to do it. And that's a really interesting thing about tabletops, but that's why I think that those, like, I can't remember what they're called in the D&D community, but they're just, like, people who are very for the rule book. And it's very, like, this is how this works. You're gonna stick to it. If it's not in the rule book, you can't do it. You have a set, limited number of options. And I think there is some merit in that, but I think that the tabletop community gets very, like, particular about what they do. Now that you've like extended it to D&D, now the tabletop card thing that you were talking about people getting upset about that makes total sense. Because it's like, yeah, dude, it makes sense in like, of course they're like that, not in the way of like, I agree with it. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know why people get so serious about a lot of
But-
things.
I guess people could. I don't
Go
think there's
ahead.
anything wrong with playing like specifically by the rule book or anything. I think that's perfectly fine. But I do think that on some level that like you're right, that misses an aspect of the thing like entirely to be such a like a no, it has to be done this way. The rule book says so. I have the handbook right here and it says this, and it's just like, well, yeah, but none of us would, like, you included, none of us would find that fun, so why are you gritting your teeth so hard to put up with it, you know? But it's just like, I think that playstyle is just fine, well, and good. I think that if that's the way you prefer to play the game, that's perfectly fine by me. Don't expect me to play with you, but that's perfectly fine by me. The thing is, though, I just think we should consider, especially, like, linking back to this Magic thing, that a lot of these card and board games, especially D&D, we have, like, so much information about that, are built on like, yeah, I wanted a new monster for my game that I play with my friends that isn't really a game, it's just something we kind of came up with. I found this little, like, one-eyed guy in the fucking, like toy bin at, like, my local Dollar Tree. He's, like, little rubber, he's, like, 3 inches.
Yeah.
Or not 3 inches, he's like 10 inches. He's too big for the rest of my figures. Fuck it, he's a giant beholder now. I've just invented a creature that he can be. You know? Like, I feel like we're playing a little too... We're giving it more credence than the people who came up with it did, and I feel like at that point you've, like, hit a point where it's like, maybe evaluate your playstyle, especially if it's leading you to be rude to people. You know, not saying you have to change it, I'm just saying that, like, you should definitely reevaluate.
Because that is the weird part to me about people who play D&D, is just like... That's the one part about D&D that actually is like, yep, that is the reason that I'm here, is for the, like, you can give pushback to the game. And it's a shame. It's a shame that more people aren't willing to, like, take a creative aspect of it. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog card is I have it on my screen. That is Sonic the Hedgehog. It doesn't even have, like, the border.
It is just
that Magic the Gathering card.
Like, they've gone so far out of their way to make this not quite a regular Magic the Gathering card. Like other collabs in the past that aren't quite like this. They've just been leaning more in and in with these collabs because the collabs succeed very well. Like, they perform, like, insanely well, because why wouldn't they? You know? As somebody who's into, like, big into Doctor Who and has been proposed the idea of learning Magic the Gathering multiple times, Magic the Gathering doesn't really seem all that interesting to me, honestly. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd get what I get out of Magic the Gathering out of chess, because I think my idea of Magic the Gathering is pretty warped. Because I had a friend in high school who was my only exposure to Magic the Gathering, and every time he would tell me anything about Magic, he would go, dude, you could string so much bullshit together in this card game, it's ridiculous. Like, you could do, like, if your opponent does this, you could do this in that order, and it will work, and it's amazing. And it's like, yeah, no, that's a really cool, like, that's a really cool strat you've got there, man. I don't know the names of any of these cards. I don't know what you're talking about. He got
None
really
of this
into
makes sense to me.
He got really into the, like, yeah, you'll do an attack, and then I will take 45 minutes actively doing my turn. You know? And it's like, I don't know if I want to play this. And I don't. It's just not my thing. But, like, maybe I'll get into it.
Would only be...
Like, maybe I could get into it casually if, like, we got into it as, like, a friend group thing of just, like, yeah, we're learning and playing Magic the Gathering now. That's just what we're doing.
That's what I mean.
An activity.
That's, like, the only time that I think I would actually get pure enjoyment out of it, just because, like, it does have that chess problem, but, like, times by 1,000. Where, like you were saying, where it's like, I don't fucking know what half of the things you're talking about does. And the fact that there's a deck of, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of different cards and shit.
Intimidating.
I would get very locked into, like, yeah, this is my routine. I play this card, and then I play this card, and then I play this card. And, like, when you're early onto it, and with other people who don't know what it is, it's like, hold on, let me read this card. Oh, whoa, I can use that right now. Here. And then it's like, yeah, that was it. That was an okay attack. There was no real strategy behind it. You just figured out you could use it, and you used it. And I like playing games like that. That's one of my favorite ways to play games these days, is just by, like, I'm not looking into the game. I'm not doing anything. All of my friends are just gonna get together and we're all gonna just experience it.
I have a big enough
all at
group of
once.
friends that I can kind of get that community aspect where we all get to just enjoy a thing casually without any of the exposure to the outside world and the larger fan base of the thing and all the drama involved and it's just like, yeah, I play this card all the time with my friends because it's fun, and then do one Google search on the card, and it's, if you play this card, you're a stupid fuck dickhead who deserves the death penalty. Electric chair tomorrow! And it's like, well, alright, well, I guess I can't play the way I'd want to in, like, a card shop. I bet that'd be rude. Alright. So maybe I should start working that out of my rotation. And it's like, I can't even have fun with the game casually in private because I don't want to have to adjust the way I play the game person to person, so I just have a rules and ethics code that I just hold myself to consistently. Like, if group consensus is, hey, don't do this shit sucks, then I just won't, even if it would be fun to do. You know? And so, like, even if it's fine in my group, but not in the group at large, when it comes to, like, the larger community for a thing, I just don't ever get into the practice of even trying to do it for fun on my own, you know?
Yeah, that is something nice about this group that we've collaborated together that we have, is that, like, there are a lot of games that we can just be like, dude, this is not fun when we play it this way. We're like we're not gonna choose this character because it's broken. And we kind of just sit by it of just like, yeah, it's not, like, there's nobody in the group who really feels the need to just, like, win at it no matter what. No holds bars. I don't care if it's a cheap character. I'm going to play it. There's nobody in the group like that. Generally, it's like, if we're not all having fun, then, like, something needs to change. And that's really good. I really like that, at least. But the outside world for, like, tabletop and shit often falls into not what is fun and not fun to play and play against. It falls into more, what do I wish was not in the game anymore? I'm gonna be pissed if you do this, even though that I can't actually stop you from doing it, you know? But yeah, I've spent a decent amount of time in those, like, how would you even call them? Like, nerd shops, I guess?
Yeah,
with, like, minifigs and...
I like to say hobby shops typically is usually where I go, because that includes all of them. That's all inclusive of just, like, here's oh, and I want to talk about hobby shops on the show too. We actually have a really good transition here, because I recently went through Jacksonville's, like, hobby shops and, like, went to a few of them and saw some stuff yesterday. Like, just yesterday even. But hobby shops, because that includes like everything. That's like, are you into RC cars? Are you into painting minifigures? Are you into, like, are you trying to fucking, like, play a board game? Do you like video games? Are you do you collect plushes or cards or fucking anything? Good, come to one of these shops and you'll have all of it at your fingertips in, like, spades. You know. And so, like, places like that, I find they either are really good or really bad. There's never any in between. It's either like, man, the staff and clientele creep me out. They were looking at me funny the whole time. They all smelled like shit. Yada yada. Or, oh wow, that was pleasant. Like, there's no in between.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Not at all. And it's like, I run into a lot more, oh well, that was pleasant, than I do, this place sucks and the people here suck, mind you. But, like, I don't know, you still walk past a guy who hasn't showered in a little while, and it's like, oh yeah, this is where I'm at, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. I think that's a really unfortunate part. I think that's partially, like, community-wise, which I guess is part of it, of just, like, people who are outcasted have, like, gravitated towards this. But, like, I don't know, it feels weird in modern day, because, like, it feels like day to day, we don't really outcast people a whole ton these days. Like, nobody gets bullied for being smart anymore, or at least, like, in my school, that was never a thing. Like, if you were a smart kid, even if you were a little bit socially awkward, if you were smart, you were still, like, treated as, like, yeah, no, you're doing a good job. Like, why would I, like, make fun of you? You're doing better than me. I think we're kind of headed
back that way, unfortunately. Socially, I feel like it's becoming less and less cool to know things and speak knowledgeably on them, which is unfortunate. But generally speaking, the people in your day-to-day are not going to give you shit simply for being intelligent. So being over the past decade, what being a social outcast includes is no longer like inclusive necessarily of like, yeah, I just am really good at math. That's literally the reason why like nobody wants to fucking hang out with me. You know? And it's like that's not the case anymore. Having a skill is having a skill. But like it also means that like, you know, it's never not been the case with outcasts, but the outcasts are becoming outcasts of outcasts now. A little bit.
Yeah, like, and I guess that comes with the territory, but it's just unfortunate for that group, you know?
Yeah, and I've met some really good people in these hobby shops before. I know some people that I've met in them that are really cool. But like and the majority of people you run into are going to be pretty cool. But like, man, the stereotype is there for a reason, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But moving past the unfortunate bits, let's talk about the fortunate bits that like we'll be able to get into when the move finally happens, post move. Because I found out that like, you know what's big that I didn't know was fucking big at all? Modding RC cars. There are so many grown men that are into modding RC. There are 3 different RC places. Like I'd heard tell from like places like New York and California where it's like, yeah, we have like 5 or 6 like privately owned businesses dedicated to like modding and racing RC cars. That's weird. And it's like, yeah, but like, you know, there's a community for everything. No, we've got like 3 of them. Like they are genuinely just everywhere. I just like you got to look for them. And then on top of that, we have a store for like painting miniatures for Warhammer specifically. It's just called Warhammer. Shout out Warhammer. I didn't go there. Don't know if it's any good. The store is just it has a big Warhammer logo literally right out front, and it's just a store for Warhammer stuff. So. You know, if you ended up wanting to pivot from the games to the actual like game, which I assume based on your opinions on Magic, you most likely would fucking not want to play Warhammer 40k. But like if you ended up wanting to and getting into that, there is an abundance of that available.
Jesus I'm afraid Christ. That I'm gonna walk into Warhammer the store and get like drafted to fight for the Emperor, dude. I don't want to go in there, man.
You're gonna enter Warhammer, dude.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna walk in there and they're gonna put me in like a fucking super soldier outfit and send me out there. I don't want to, dude.
Holy shit, get a commanding officer. This guy is perfect.
Warhammer is such a good time from the outside. Like forever. It will always be like that.
Everything I've heard about Warhammer, like, I've heard because I actively took an interest in one specific part of it, no matter what that one specific part is at the time. I've been incrementally interested in each faction over time, and so like I'll have like a month where it's like, yeah, I'm just into like the rat people right now. I'm getting into what they do, or like, oh yeah, space orcs, huh? And then like, this and that, and like. And like I'll find out things, and then when I've had enough, I can go, that's enough. And just stop talking about it, and stop reading about it, and stop caring for like a year until like I find another Warhammer fact that interests me. And like Warhammer is like a Wikipedia rabbit hole for me that I take once a year.
Yeah,
and then I'm good, and then I'm just like I'm full up on it. I feel like if I had to actually sit down and learn anything about how to play the game or all of the lore, which is something I don't think is necessary to know all the lore to like play, but like. I would kind of want to if I were gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it, you know? I feel like that would be fucking exhausting. I feel like that would be a nightmare scenario of homework to do more than a game to play for me. So that's kind of why I shy away from like Warhammer and stuff. Plus the same thing you said about Magic, where it's like, dude, this seems like a lot. This seems really complex. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find one thing in the beginning that I really like, and I'm just gonna keep doing that forever because I don't want to be fucked to learn 80 different play styles, you know?
Yeah, that's a really funny. You and I tend to settle into that way more than other people, I think. For some reason, when we get into things, we find something, and then that's what we do.
I don't know what
that's
it is.
all.
I don't know what it is, but like, I find that weirdly enough, like you've described this before, but like I'm finally getting a good grip on it, and that's that you're a really fast learner with things, and so you'll pick it up and you'll get it and you'll be at your skill ceiling within a couple weeks. I take a lot longer to like pick up the simplicities of things, but once I get it, I really get it. Like, not that you don't understand, but it's just like once I know something, I fucking know it and I've got it and it's good forever, you know? And so like I end up surpassing you in a lot of these games just because I'm a lot more consistent, but I take so much longer to ramp up that consistency is earned through like 3 to 6 weeks of getting my fucking shit pushed in.
Yeah, because like we've had that a couple of times. The two most recent that I can come up with is that we picked up speedrunners, and I think we've talked about that on the show a little bit. But we've also been playing Fortnite Festival, and both of those games are games that I have way more experience with than Vox does, just simply because I had played them prior. And so like I was able to kind of get some footing back, and like within the first week, I was back to like, yeah, I'm playing on hard in both games, you know, either way, I'm able to do that. And then over time, the more we would play, the more you would just you eclipsed me and then just kept going. And I was like, you have a better understanding of the game now because you actually had to put in the work about figuring out the game. So now I'm like, that's my issue, is that I can't ever fucking stick with something. I learn it, I absorb it, and then I move on. I can't take in too much about one particular thing. Unless I'm really hype about it.
That makes sense.
Jack of all trades, I guess. But
speaking of things that we have set roles in typically, and that we've picked up recently together that we've been learning actively, we've been playing a lot of Peak in the past week or so since it got big. We've been doing a lot of that. We started, I don't know what day that was. I don't know the exact day we started, and that's important because Peak is a game about mountain climbing made by Landfall Games and what is the other studio? Aggro Crab?
Aggro Crab, yeah.
Aggro Crab and Landfall Games under the name Land Crab Games, or Land Crab Interactive or something. Some sort of like haha holding hands thing. I think we talked about it on the show just a little bit because we kind of got into like, are they a merger? Who knows? But we've been playing a lot more Peak since then.
June 20th.
And every day,
the
mountains, June 20th. Yeah, so we have I'd say about 2 weeks, of Peak done. And I think it's been good. I now have enough Peak in my gullet. Like we did I like the way we've gotten into these, by the way, where we do sort of like a first impressions right when we get into something. And then later we come back on it a couple weeks later. It's just like, hey, by the way, update. You know, a little reward for people who were listening a couple weeks ago when we first talked about it. But we've been doing a lot of Peak, and I feel like I've finally settled into a point with Peak where I feel like I'm all right enough at it, and I have a good enough time with it that I can properly review it, you know?
Because recently
anyway, because it's a game that's going to receive updates and shit, so like this might not be true in 6 months, who knows? But let's talk about it. You go into it first, Jake.
Recently, as of, I think, let me double check here, as of the 26th, I think, we made it to the very top of the mountain, and we beat the game, and that was a really awesome thing. No, it wasn't the 26th. Sorry. It was like the first. Yeah, I'm stupid.
It was like day before yesterday. It was very recent that we actually hit the top.
Yeah. I was trying to pull up the date and I saw the wrong fucking video instead of the one of us winning. But we finally beat the game, and it was a brutal task for us because like every time we've played it, we always made it to the Alpine, I think is the snow area's name. We would always make it there, and then we would die in some way. The worst time was I was at the very top. Basil joined the game again, and when you join the game, you end up at the very, very bottom of the mountain. And when you get 500 meters from the next highest person from you, the Scoutmaster shows up and rocks your shit. So, like, we got to lose that round in the most spectacular, terrible way possible. But we finally did it on the second, and we made it to the top, and it was so much fucking fun. Honestly, I have such a love-hate relationship with this game. I said relationship twice.
Yeah, that's how much of a love-hate relationship you have with it. Love-hate relationship.
Yeah, but oh god, you have way more of a love-hate relationship with it than I do. I feel like
so. There's this universal bit that you seem to think was a me bit the first time I did it. I want to talk about this, where like, so when I die in this game, I get pretty salty about it simply because I just put a fucking hour and a half into this stupid bullshit and now I'm dead and just have to watch, like, the rest of my friends have fun. Because this game has a real tendency, if you end up apart from the group for any reason, where, like, you will die alone and cold and starving and injured and just beaten to shit. And you'll finally go for one last Hail Mary, fail it spectacularly, and get laughed at on the way down. And then hard cut after your death to one of your friends standing with some capybaras, sitting in like a hot tub, eating berries, completely fine, fully stocked up on food and supplies, ready to go. So being a unit is very important, but that is such an infuriating sight to me that it's just like, God fucking damn it, dude. No wonder I'm not doing alright. You've been picking up every item you can and using it because you're a mile ahead of me, you know? And it's just like, well, I wouldn't have to. I'm kind of just carrying them for the group, but the group's not with me because you wandered off, you know? And so I've started picking up this, like, combative dickhead ghost, like, vengeful spirit shit, as a bit to, like, channel that, like, saltiness at the game into just, like, hey, fuck you, buddy. How about you jump off the cliff? Bring me back, you motherfucker. Where I'm just like, I'm being mean to the, like, the people left alive for a while. And, like, I don't know, it's good. It's fun. It's a good way to, like, decompress from the stress of the mountain.
It is funny,
just, like, you have, like, it's just, once I'm dead, this game is no stakes to me. Like, if it ends right after I died, like, if everybody else failed too, I wouldn't feel like I was failed by my friends. I'd feel like, fine, I'm done. There we go. Fuck. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, being the ghost is so fun because it's just, like, you kind of just get to fuck about. Like, you get to do nothing.
You get like all of the fun part of the game. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to think about like jumps or anything. You just get to like fuck about with your friends. And sometimes it's way more fun to be dead than it is to be alive. But then sometimes you die and you're like, man, oh man, god damn it. And we always tend to have, like, an oh man, god damn it, in the middle of it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like, we've never made an attempt where we've all, like, lived fully. The one attempt that we did make it up, Vox and I died in... I don't even remember where we died, but we died somewhere.
Dude, I have no clue where or how that happened. It's escaped me now, because it was so, like, inconsequent. It was, like, a fall like every other death we've ever taken. So I don't really commit them to memory anymore. But Peak is a lot of fun. And I think, you know, whoever a couple of years ago decided that, like, you know what, fuck it, bring Goat Sim style shit back, let's just start making physics-based games again, but make them, like, multiplayer party games, they were right. Making that shit physics-based in some way, like, in ways that are consistent, that's what I feel like works about it, is when it's not, oh, it's physics-based, therefore it's gonna control like shit, and it's gonna suck the whole time and be cumbersome. It'll be cumbersome in a fun way, but in the same way that, like, actually mountain climbing would be. So, you know, like it's
where
like
it's like your limbs are all
hike, you know.
Yeah, your limbs are all kind of working against you in a little bit weird ways, where it's like, this would be easy if I had set climbing animations and standing animations, but my character slips on the rock because he can't get a footing, you know?
Yeah, and that's okay. I find that kind of stuff adds more positive variety to the gameplay than it would, like it far outweighs not having it there for the sake of the cons. Like, for the sake of, like, oh man, that was horseshit. I got thrown off the mountain because, like, of a physics calculation on a slope I was standing on was just bunk ass, you know, compared to what it looked like. And it's like, I would gladly take 1,000 of those just to keep, like, all the fun little slip-ups we've had because of the physics system. Because, genuinely, with the advent of Steam clipping, I've just started being able to keep those little moments and shit. And, like, now I'm starting to cherish games that give me those clippable moments more and more of just like, oh man, that can go in the compilation. This can go in the compilation. Not that I'm ever going to post them anywhere. I highly doubt I ever would.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I just, like, I'm making these privately as, like, it's like scrapbooking almost. The experience we had with the game. And my hope is that someday, when we finally put down Peak, and we haven't put down Repo yet, so I'm shocked about that. We've kind of just been on, like, a little bit of a break, like, after the update came out. And that's fine. But, like, now that like we've taken once we're done with Repo, we'll have a finished compilation because I've been taking clips consistently as we played over the past few months, and so I should have like 10-ish minutes of Repo footage that is just, well, you want to revisit that time that we were playing Repo for a few months? Bing, bang, boom. Here's like 10 minutes of the best bits of those few months. And the fact that Steam makes that so easy to grab and games are catering more towards having those fun moments with your friends, I'm having a great time. Some call it friend slop, like we talked about it last week. I think it's friend treasure, damn it. This shit is good. I like it. Anyway.
Yeah,
so that's my thoughts on Peak.
My thoughts on Peak are I have a really good time with it, and I want to continue getting more badges.
The badges! We didn't even talk about the badges. The badges are really cool.
Yeah,
the badges are fun.
Like that's the thing that really gets us going. Is like, yeah, we did just make it up the mountain, but we didn't make it up the mountain with Big Bong yet, or we haven't made it up the mountain without using X thing yet.
We haven't made it up the mountain without anybody dying. We haven't made it up. We haven't made it up without using any. We haven't made it up without using any like cooked food. We haven't done like half the runs that are available because like each badge is like a little like Boy Scout badge, and it's like it's like a challenge run for each one, basically. Because, like, there's one where it's like, oh, yeah, open every piece of luggage you see just about. So you're going to have to kind of go out of your way a time or two to, like, open a case simply so that you can keep that count and get the 14 of them you need for that. Or, like, well, I can use shelf mushrooms this time, but not anything else. Nothing unnatural. It has to be natural off the mountain itself. Nothing out of a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Or only things out of a suitcase, nothing off the mountain. Or certain things off the mountain. Or maybe this way or that way. And there's so many different combos that the game gives you. And we haven't even played with the higher difficulty yet. Like, I unlocked accidentally, because I wasn't supposed to get it until we peaked. But, apparently. But, like, finishing it means that I have a higher difficulty to work on now, and so, like, I can go and do that. Like, we can go and do that run of just, like, well, we can do that, and then we can do challenge runs for that difficulty if we still feel up to it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just,
and
it
the
has
fact
so
that
much
there's a new mountain
value.
every day. Yeah, it's hard to even say replay. Because, like, it's like starting a new Minecraft world. It's hard to say that Minecraft has a lot of replay value, because that, like, its replay value, I would say, of just, like, being able to see these different mountains is partially, like, the big thing about this game, in my opinion. That's the thing that I like, is, like,
mountain every day, you bought a thing once, and live service will just keep providing you a mountain every day is insane. That is insanely ridiculous. I have no idea how they intend to upkeep it. I hope they do upkeep it for a long, long time. I really want this to be, like, a thing I can come back to, like, in a couple months and play some new mountains, you know? I think I'd like it if, potentially, if they ever stopped doing these, or if they ever, like, got to the point, I'd like best mountain. That's what I would like. Like, the best mountain from every week of the first year of it. Here's a big level pack of 50 mountains, you know? Or challenge mountains that are designed specific ways. Or, like, things like that. That'd be awesome. There's more room to add more badges on the sash. There's this, there's that. There's all sorts of cosmetics. Jesus Christ. We'll never stop with this. Like, we would have to get sick of the core gameplay. And even that, they're, like, adding new items and shit to keep that fresh. So, you know.
Yeah. Live service games have... They started as, like, this is a real downhill point for gaming, of, like, we aren't releasing full games anymore. However, for indie games like this, and smaller games where it's like, hey, I get to pay for this, and then the live service part of it just needs to happen, and I get the enjoyment of it, I like this a lot. This is a very good direction for gaming, in my opinion, is, like, it allows more games like Minecraft, where it's, like, they are vehicles for other experiences on top of it, too. And I like that. I think more games should be like that. But yeah.
Speaking of Speaking of games and live service games, boy, do we have something to talk about this week. The Stop Killing Games initiative hit its goal. So looks like the EU actually has to consider that now. Like the thing about the European government is they actually give a shit about petitions. So they opened a petition. The Stop Killing Games initiative is for live service games, started by Ross Scott from Cursed Farms, the guy who made Freeman's Mind. And he started it as like, hey, I'm sick of buying single-player games with always online DRM that I'm genuinely just not allowed to play anymore because the company has opted it. Without, like, intense modification, some of these games genuinely are fucking, like, I spent $60 on it in 2007. Why the hell can't I still fucking play this? This should still be playable because I bought a single-player game, you know? This doesn't necessarily extend to multiplayer games. There is also, I think there's a side thing for, yeah, we'd like it if games companies would consider releasing their server software and whatnot after the fact to open source it. But, you know, we understand that's not super doable, was the statement I heard, a year ago. But their initiative is just like, hey, if you have a live service game that somebody could play single player that doesn't require any, server space for them to play, just release it. Just let it, if you're gonna take it down off the store, just let it go. Let the DRM go and let people have it. Patch it out and just let people have it. You know, instead of taking it away from them because you shut the servers down.
Oh, yeah. This feels like the digital version of Right to Repair. Is what this feels like.
Yeah. I was talking about this with my husband in the car yesterday afterward, because it had just reached its goal day before yesterday, I'm pretty sure. And it relates to this whole pirate software thing that's been going around. I'll talk about that in a minute. This whole thing, I was talking with him about it, and I explained to him what the initiative was, and he went, "It's weird to me that that's not already a thing." And I went, "I know. That's because nobody gives a shit, because video games are such a new industry that nobody's really legislating for that yet. So we kind of have to self-govern as an industry so far. So this is an amazing step toward that." And with the EU's consideration, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, yeah, sure, it'll happen in Europe. What does that mean for us?" And it's just like, dude, do you remember the time they did that to Apple? And they got them to switch to USB-C, and they deemed that it just was not profit effective anymore to have their own cable at all? That's probably what's going to end up happening. If the company's going to go through the trouble of making a version of it, a patch of it without the DRM in it for one region, they're probably just going to push it if they legally have to anyway, you know? And so, in a lot of cases, this will be huge for preservation, you know? I don't know the very deep specifics of it, but they have a website. It's stopkillinggames.com. They're in overdrive right now, and they probably still will be by the time this episode comes out on Sunday. They're heading to 1.2 million is what they want to get. They're at 1.1 million right now, with the goal being, I think, 1 million signatures was the goal. So, you know, getting that into overdrive can only help the damn thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's great. But somebody had a problem with this. Have I talked to you about this particular nugget of drama that's been happening? So, do you know about Pirate Software, the long-haired guy with the voice that totally didn't sound like that before he trained it? I don't give a shit what he says. Who was yeah, I'm a successful streamer because I streamed every day for 17 hours a day nonstop, and that just worked, despite that being insanely bad advice, according to every other successful streamer who knows what they're talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know him, the guy who does all those MS Paint drawings explaining simple shit to his chat. Was
I pulled him up.
He was like, I used to work at Blizzard. I think that Stop Killing Games is bad because live service games like MMOs, live service games that are MMOs that require server space shouldn't have to be open sourced after the fact. And then everyone in this fan base was like, yeah, that is kind of unreasonable to expect a games company to keep hosting servers forever in perpetuity for a game, even if nobody fucking plays it 70 years from now, just because people bought it, you know? And that is kind of unreasonable. And I agree, that is kind of unreasonable. That is really unreasonable.
That's not what they're asking for.
But that's not what they're asking for. Yeah, Pirate Software went out of his way to explicitly go, I think this initiative sucks. Here, my massive audience who's never heard of this before, let me introduce you to how unreasonably, like, ridiculous their demands are and how we shouldn't ever consider this as, like, a legitimate form of activism. And so, like, millions of people walked away that day going, holy shit, Ross from Accursed Farms, fuck you, you know, for trying to, like, make these sweet little game companies who want nothing more than to shut down their game after 5 or 6 years, and release a sequel that is identical in every way just to get you to get it a second time, you know, and rebuy all your skins. Just because they do that, that doesn't mean you should be doing this, you know? And, like, Ross had to, like, go on, like, the FAQ page the day after that stream got changed. This was, like, a year ago, mind you. Or a while ago, 6 months, I think. But, like, the day after that stream, the FAQ changed to be, hey, here's why we don't do here's why this isn't the case. If you heard that we were doing this, you're wrong. It was genuinely, like, point for point a rebuttal to the stream. And I felt like that's so petty to make your fucking, to go out of your way. That's so petty. Like, I guess it's not petty because, like, you want people to have the truth about the initiative, but it was addressed kind of at him at the time.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just directly like, hey, I've heard from somebody that this initiative is about this. No. If you heard that, somebody has intentionally misled you. You know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I've never liked this pirate software guy. I don't want to be the I told you so, I told you so.
All right.
I don't think he's a horrific guy. I don't think he's a bad person. He's, like, more and more people are coming out with, like, dude, why is this guy so smug? Why does this guy act like he knows everything and he's wrong 5 times out of 10? Like, factually incorrect on his stream in a fact-checkable way. And I was like, man, I've been saying that about this fucking guy for, like, a year. Like, I didn't think he did anything worth that. Like, I didn't know about his involvement with Stop Killing Games and him almost fucking murdering it. I had heard tangentially what had happened, and, like, but the version of it I heard was from his fan base that was like, he had a misunderstanding, and it got corrected. And that's all it was. That's all I heard about it. So, like, hearing the detailed story now, when very clearly a lot of people like me are just now hearing about it, because it's all over my For You page. Dude, oh man, people are posting, now that it's hit its goal, people are posting an image of him sobbing in front of it. Like, they're posting images of pirate software just fucking crying in front of it. And, like, his crime, being kind of a smug dickhead on the internet. You know, like, that's it. That's all he did. And then this thing, like, of course, which I think is genuinely kind of bad, using your platform to, like, talk about a subject where you don't really have all the information, and, like, sabotaging a movement like this that would overall be good for the industry knowingly. Like, whether you knew or not, actually. Like, I still feel like, even unintentionally, do your research. Come on. You have way too big of an audience to be doing that kind of shit. But, like, that's the thing.
Shit like that, yeah.
But most people are just, like, dancing on this guy's grave as just, like, I'm not stoked that this guy's career is in the toilet, I should say. I've just never kind of liked his vibe, is what I mean.
You just didn't jive with it, so.
I don't jive with the content. Yeah, I don't jive with the guy. And so it's just like, you know, not a bad person in my book, just don't like him. And like, I still don't think he's a bad person. I just think he did something shitty, you know? But, like, now I'm getting TikToks of everybody, like, dude, it's amazing how being a smug dickhead gets everybody to hate you, and then when your downfall happens, they're all gonna come out of the woodwork immediately. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
People, like, the amount of people who can just, like, because the public consensus on this guy 3 months ago was, yeah, he's pretty cool. Like, that was just the public consensus among everybody. And now, very suddenly, now that he's had, like, a very public faux pas, everybody's like, oh, shit, I fucking knew it. Yeah, I fucking hate this guy for a while. And, like, I'm sure these are new people. This is just, like, what the internet public consciousness has become. I just didn't realize how many people were with me on that, like, dude, this guy's kind of a smug prick who is incorrect a lot of the time. Oh, well, no harm there, but, like, you know. And then waiting for him to do something where they could go, oh, shit, yeah, harm, fuck that guy, you know?
Yeah, it's funny how the internet works like that, because they do pull, like, okay, fuck, we could finally, like, fucking hound this motherfucker that we just vaguely didn't like. It's really funny how the internet does that. And it's honestly, as one of those people, I can't remember the last time I was in, like, the you position where it was like, hey, I didn't really... Oh, Dream. that always feels good. Whenever it's like, man, I just kind of don't like them, to then like, oh shit, I cannot like them and be in the popular opinion. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I have a reason to say like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dream without just looking like a dickhead that's just like ragging on the thing you like.
You got a reason to say a lot worse about Dream than that.
Oh, good God. Yeah,
you got
like now
a blank check to say basically anything you want about that guy. Make an accusation right now. It doesn't have to be true. He probably did.
I'm not gonna do that.
Don't do that. But, like, he probably did do it.
Yeah, who fucking knows? He cheated
about some
in
new
his
shit that he
Minecraft
did
run
all the time. He did cheat on
Yeah.
the Minecraft speedrun. He admitted to that one. I think that was honestly the silliest bit of Dream related drama, was insisting upon insisting for months at a time, getting people to write fake papers about how you didn't cheat, how the likelihood of you actually cheating is not very high at all. In fact, here's a bunch of gold blocks on the screen, I promise.
Yeah.
Like doing all of that shit for months, fighting for his fucking life and reputation, and then suddenly just like, like on a random Tuesday out of nowhere, he just goes, yeah, I did it. I did do that.
Yeah.
Like once it had just been long enough, he just went, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so insistent about it. I just got real embarrassed that I cheated. I did intentionally cheat,
Oh
though.
my God. Jesus.
No, it was he admitted that, okay, upon further reevaluation, after the incident is cleared, I did in fact have a mod on, unknowingly. And then he found out after that, we found out after that from him a separate statement. No, I did do that shit on purpose.
So it's just like 3 layers of just like, yeah, I did do
Watching
it,
the
but
lie
not
crumble,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, god damn. Dream is someone that like I don't feel comfortable interacting with anybody who's ever really interacted with Dream at this point.
Yeah.
Like
anybody
I don't know
why.
Actually, I do know why.
Dream, I don't like them. Or anybody who's like openly talking positively about Dream even. Like I know some people who like have never met Dream, would never like don't associate with Dream, but speak very positively on him. And I don't mind saying in a public forum right now, that shit ain't cool. That shit makes me hella uncomfortable to hear people go like, oh man, I like some of the Dream content. Oh, I bet you like some of the fucking P. Diddy songs too, don't you? Anyway, like it's just fucked up, dude. The guy is fucked. It's not bad to separate art from the artist some of the time. That's okay. But open praise of the individual, I find fucking detestable. I'm just too polite to say anything most of the time. So on my show, I'm not too polite to say like, if you've got some positivity, if you've got anything other than like dislike and disgust in your heart for fucking Dream, away. You know? I don't want anything to do with you.
Cause like I don't know who is the most recent one. Skeppy just recently is getting called out.
He didn't do it.
Yeah, no,
I were proven fake like a week ago.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just bringing up that
I don't mean to
shut
shut you down.
Happen a lot.
You
just wanted to make sure.
Shut you down. I genuinely was like, oh shit! I didn't ever tell Jed I saw that tweet like 3 or 4 days ago that it was fake. So maybe he doesn't know. I don't want him to get into like calling Skeppy like a piece of shit.
Oh
like,
yeah,
groomer asshole for 10 minutes and then have to squeeze in it. By the way, the statement came out. His accusations were false.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you wanted me to have like a full stop.
I wanted to make sure you were safe. All right. Anyway, about Skeppy.
But like, it really doesn't change my ultimate point of just like, it feels like for some reason that is part of the Minecraft community at this point. It feels like it's rooted its way in there in this weird, gross way of like, to the point where like it was a joke a while ago about like,
if you're a big enough creator, everybody is willing to turn a blind eye to it in this industry, in this like particular like corner of the streaming industry, and I don't like that. I don't like how much content creators are allowed to get away with in some of the spaces that I'm in. You know, and that's
like behind private doors. It feels like a lot of these groups and like. The Skeppy thing was partially involved just because it was like, you know, Skeppy was involved with a lot of people who have had those things happen. And it's like, I don't know, the amount of blind eye that she would have to turn for that to happen. And of course, like, I'm sure there are a lot of situations where it's like, yeah, I had no fucking clue what was going on there, dude. I played on X
like,
server that he was involved in, and I was unrelated. You know?
I give some people a pass. Because it's like, not every Dream SMP member is bad. Because half of them you'll go, hey man, there was shit coming out about this guy while the server was running. Why didn't you do anything about that? Why did you actively choose to join the server after the first set of allegations on Dream had already come out and been proven true? Like, not proven true, but like, were like, in the public consciousness, that was the consensus that, like, yeah, Dream did that shit. And that's not cool. You know, there was enough evidence to convince the court of public opinion. And so, like, why were you actively collaborating with the guy openly like he hadn't done anything? And the answer most of the time is, dude, I was like 15, 16 when I worked with Dream. I just wanted to be a content creator and make stuff, and like, this guy took interest, all right? You know, and so I give a lot of them a pass on, like, if you were a minor, you're more of a victim than anything. Whether he did anything to you or not, you know, you are a victim of the situation. It is not your fault that you've got, like, the I was in the Dream SMP black mark on your record. However, all the grown adults in the situation, including everybody that, like, Dream hangs out with or has hung out with in the past 3-ish years, like, after, like, enough shit had come out that, like, this is inexcusable. Like, post 2020 Dream, if you hung out with that guy, I don't want anything to do with you. Genuinely.
Yeah. I don't know if I would say post 2020, because I think it was like 2021 that it was finally like, yeah, dude, this, because I think 2020 was the year that the cheating stuff happened, because I remember that being weirdly tied up with the beginning of COVID. And then I remember there being like kind of nothing about him for like a year.
There were already accusations happening at that time, though, and it's like,
was there really
very big public accusations happening? Yeah, if I remember correctly. I may be misremembering, but I highly doubt it, because I remember, like, being mad at people actively for being willing to forgive the cheating for the sake of Dream, and it's just like, really, this guy, the guy who reportedly did this shit, really, you're willing to make the exception for him on the leaderboard? All right, you know, and it's like, I remember having some other proclivities about Dream, so I'm almost sure that there were other accusations in play at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe I just saw an oncoming train before it hit. That could be.
Yeah,
like, that could totally be the case. My mind is very fuzzy about, like, just before COVID shit, because we were dealing with... That was one of the big... We had one recently. That was one of the big World War III scares we had for a second there.
Yeah. What? Oh God, what was that even? Was that Ukraine? Was that the beginning of the Ukraine shit?
The Russia-Ukraine shit had, like, really popped that December
Holy
and, like,
hell,
into January, and it got real bad. And I don't want to talk about this for too long in case this is upsetting to anybody, because I don't really have much of a... It doesn't really relate to the point. But the point is that, dude, we had, like, a World War III scare, and then we had, like, a massive weather thing regionally. I don't remember what it was, but it was some fucking fuck-off big storm coming through that month that we had to prep up for. And it was, like, just about to be hurricane season, and around that same time, like, the storm passed, and, like, COVID hit at the COVID lockdowns, I should say, hit, and, like, all at once, the whole world stopped moving, and it suddenly didn't matter at all, you know. And it was like, okay, well, and so, like, a lot of like the menial stuff between, like, November 2019 and March 2020 is just lost. It's just lost in my mind, you know.
Yeah, like, it's hard to remember. That's so interesting, because I completely forgot about, like, we just had one of these World War III scares right before COVID, and then COVID happened, and I completely forgot about it. Like, not that I completely forgot about the war in Ukraine, not to say that in any way, but I forgot about the, like...
You forgot about the feelings you had about it and how important it was to the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that... Yeah, I am now having a moment of, like, fucking January, seeing, like, a Reddit post about, like, possible pandemic COVID-19, like, you know, that this is scary, and it was like, no, this is just fear-mongering, and then it happened, and, like, oh boy, did it happen.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
feel
like
like
COVID.
COVID is very
Mhm.
quickly going to become this generation's 9/11, where it's like, dude, this is like
Yeah,
everybody knows where their head was at during that lockdown. Like, I know a lot. Everybody is like, everybody I know is into something these days that they're pretty damn good at or pretty damn involved with. And it's like, oh, how'd you get into that? It seems kind of hard to get into, without a lot of time to spend. And they go, oh, I did it during lockdown. I got into it in like
yeah.
2020. So, like, or like 2021. And so I had plenty of fucking time to like really delve and get into it. And it's like, that's awesome. That's great. But like, I feel like that's going to create a big generational divide of like, here's all the people who were old enough to remember and be impacted by the lockdown, and here's all the people who are not, you know?
Because I think honestly, COVID is one of the big reasons for why
It's
we
such a
have a lot
unique
of like
period.
nothing ever happens people, because like shit got so bad so quickly that everybody had to take a step back from life and just go like, hey, what are the things that are actually important to me, and what like
Mm-hmm.
do I need to be concerned about some things? And it really allowed people to hone in on what they cared about and what they didn't. um and
Right.
like I don't think anybody will ever be the same after COVID, just because it's like, for me, I've adapted into the person that I am because of COVID. I was given that room to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think
um
that like a lot of us have a lot of people like around our ages will say that because like you got to understand COVID happened for me. I graduated high school
mhm.
the previous May. And so I had had about 6 to 8 months of like a well put together society. And then bada bing, bada bam. Well, as well put together as it usually is anyway. And then bada bing, bada bam. I got to within like the last 6 months of being like the first year of being an adult. I got to experience the world at like its like most scrambling and like and disorganized and messy and like not that like maybe not its most I would argue, but like definitely in one of those big spikes of just like, yeah, this is a pretty big low, you know,
Mhm.
for
And I
like
think for
efficiency and ability to do things. And so like navigating the adult world for me is very different because a lot of that formative time learning to do that was done locked inside my house, or wearing a face
yeah,
covering that like kind of helped with the social anxiety and shit. And so
I
like
think
there's a lot of that associated that like would have
I
ripple effects. Anyway, yeah.
yeah, I got a really unique experience of it, because like we both have very different experiences of it, where when I so for me, the October prior to, October of 2019 was the year that shit got bad enough in my mental health that I had to drop out of school. I was in 8th grade. I decided that like I just can't do this anymore. It was too much. I was on the verge of being sent to like a mental hospital for like a getaway for like a month. And we just decided to like pull me out of it. And then like a couple months later, like 3 or 4 months later, COVID hits, and now everybody else is out of school, and we're all doing online school. And like I kind of had to get frozen into this position that I was in during 8th grade of like, I can't get anything done. Like I'm just barely on the verge of where I should start getting things done. I'm about to go in high school. I can't. To then like it gave me all of COVID time to just stagnate there for a little bit. That by the time that COVID ended, I was then 16, and I was like, oh, I can drive now. And then I learned to drive, and then as I kept doing it, I got to like just learn to be an adult from like a dead from 8th grade where you can't do fucking anything to 16, which is like adult light. And it really allowed me to realize that, hey, I'm a lot more competent than than I thought, because everybody just went through the same thing that I went through. It just happened to line up perfectly that I got to have it, and it lined up socially well. So I got to like come back out of it as like significantly better out of COVID, because I just got to be like, yeah, I'm an adult now. I got to form all my adult shit, and now I get to pop out as a full one. And that's a very nice experience that I got to have. And despite 2020 being so like such a fall apart year, I think it did benefit the world as a whole, kind of. Um, I do think there are places that we need to improve, of course, but either way,
Yeah, no,
COVID
COVID
was interesting.
it was just a massively impactful thing at the time. And so like my larger point was about the dream thing of like, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no, that's where I was trying to go. It just like it escapes me. It's gone, dude. It is out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Like whatever else was going on with him, it just was not as important to like remember as like, the rest of what was going on in the world. So I'm pretty sure it got like chucked in the middle there. So don't like take things that I've said about that with a grain of salt. But what else?
But yeah, there was our COVID moment.
That was our like talking about COVID moment. Like that was a weird moment to be having in the current year, I think.
Yeah, that's something. Well, because we haven't talked about it on the show ever, really, and that's what I was thinking about, was that we're now just far away from COVID that, like, everybody remembers it, and, like, nobody really wants to talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Dude, speaking of moving, which I mentioned way earlier in the show, I have a topic here that I've had on my topics list since we knew for sure that the move was going to be significantly delayed. And it's that, so ahead of the move, back when it was 2 weeks out to moving day and there were no complications at all about moving, and it was totally gonna happen, I was in a Five Below, and I saw a pack of, here's a big bag of 50 little, like, little plastic ducks. They're hard plastic, and they're cheap, and, like, they're like, the size of your, like, pinky. You know, at like the tip of your pinky, you know, and so it's a little thing. And I was like, man, when we move, I'm gonna hide these around the house, and they're gonna drive Jed fucking insane because there's gonna be a duck in everything, and it's gonna be great. It'll be a really funny bit. Except one day, like while I was cleaning, I was sweeping, and I saw like something pink in there, and I went, "What's that pink spot?" It was a duck, and so I sat it on my desk, and then we were cleaning. I was cleaning something else. Actually, like I think I went to take a bag of trash out, and like I heard something clatter to the ground. I'm like I think that like hard plastic makes that sort of like gnarly noise. And I was like, what the fuck was that? I haven't thrown any like marbles away or anything. And I pick it up, and it's a duck. And so I put it down. The other day, I went to grab a USB drive to like update my BIOS, which we'll get into that. Jesus fuck, I want to talk about that. But I went to do that, and I reach into my junk drawer, and, like, I feel something small, and I know exactly what it is before I pull it out. It's a fucking duck. It's a loose duck. I bagged them and put them away, and they are genuinely, like, escaping the little drawstring bag that I had them in and just ending up places. I don't know how they do it. I've asked Basil. Basil isn't doing it. I don't know where they're coming from. Genuinely, I have no clue. And so, like, that completely fucking backfired on me. So now I have to come up with something worse for the actual move.
But funny story, I go into a tattoo shop like 3 days ago, and they, or not 3 days ago, like 3 weeks ago, sorry. And they get my tattoo done, and I walk up to the counter, and I see one of those little fucking ducks. The same little fucking plastic duck. And like, it just like it was in Arizona. Yeah. And I just had this moment where I was like, oh my god. they're escaping further. Their bounds are not within the South. They can escape.
Yeah. If I ever ship you anything, I'm gonna ship you like 10 ducks. I'm gonna hunt them down, and I'm just gonna throw them in the box, and then it'll happen to you too, man. God damn. Dude, I'm not like big into like the supernatural or whatever. That's not my dig at all. But I totally get how motherfuckers are like, there's a spirit fucking with me. There's somebody has to be fucking with me because it genuinely happens like once every couple of months, and it's fucking comical every time. It's always in a ridiculous, innocuous place where it's like, dude, if you've been there the whole time, I totally would have spotted it. But it's just there now. It exists. It's only a matter of time. Weird. I've opened my new PC a few times to do various like things to it to ensure that it's like good to go. And like with these ducks floating around, I'm real worried that one of these days I'm gonna hear a rattling in there or some shit, and I'm gonna look in there, and beyond the glass panel will be a little duck just sitting in the fucking PC.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show yet. The PC that I got has a hinged panel on the front, which means that it's just like a fucking cabinet on my desk. So I get to just use the inside of my computer as a little like storage space. It is such a bizarre thing, but it's so funny. I keep my headset in there because my headset is small enough. The big screen is small enough to just sit in there. And it's like, yeah, that feels like a good place it'll be. Sure. But yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh god.
So I did find out what was wrong with my computer. I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I've had all sorts of little technical issues, little nicks and knacks at things, and like things not quite working like they should, or things being a little more sporadic than they oughta. And like it's really been worrying me that it's like some issue with my motherboard or with my power supply, and I'm gonna have to buy new hardware. And god fucking damn it, I don't want to spend more money on this thing. I just spent $1,000 on it to get the fucking thing, over that even, and I don't want to spend more right this second. I bought it with the intention of upgrading it eventually, not upgrading it immediately. So I was really worried.
Yeah.
And the other day, one of the cats chewed through my Wi-Fi antenna. So my PC was usable locally, but like connection to the internet or any sort of Bluetooth connection was going to be impossible. So headphones off, like no audio whatsoever. I just sat and troubleshooted for like a day. I just took the day. And at various points was like, maybe it's this. Let me run one of these long-ass tests that I otherwise wouldn't want to run. And I ran enough tests, and then at some point, while running the tests, I noticed that my CPU clock was being funny on a 3D Mark benchmark. And I was like, man, it says here on Google that, like, modern CPUs can dynamically adapt their clock speed really well for these sorts of things, and, like, super dynamically. This doesn't look like dynamic adjustment to my untrained eye. Let me go in and make sure this is all right. And I mentioned it to Jed before I started troubleshooting it, and he goes, "Did you update your BIOS?" And I was like, I should do that. I fucking like that's the first thing they tell you to do. And I was like, man, I've had times with my old PC where it's like, yeah, my graphics card driver is 1 day out of date and nothing works. Imagine the whole goddamn thing is out of date. By 2 years, 2023 is when that BIOS was from, and it is 2023, and 2023 is year of release for the motherboard that I have. So I'm pretty sure I had the stock out of the box, didn't even try and boot it once to check for updates. Like fucking BIOS on my motherboard that they just shipped it from the factory with day one. So like, I updated my BIOS day before yesterday. And since then, not a hitch. Everything performs 10 times better. I talked about it on the show when I first got this PC, that despite the hitching that it did, it still outperformed my old PC by miles, by leagues and leagues and leagues. But, like, now, I couldn't imagine this thing being this smooth. And fixing it on the second means that it was perfect for my birthday on the 3rd, because I bought the thing as a birthday gift to myself. I just bought it a month early because I didn't want to wait and didn't really have to. And so, like, I've spent, like, the past month just sorting and trying to get this thing to behave itself. And now I've finally gotten it to the point where it will behave itself, and it's my birthday. So it's like I was being punished for unwrapping my gift too early, dude, I swear. Because I just couldn't be fucked to do all the updates and shit instantly. So I got in and I played some games and had like a cool moment with it. And like, after that, I just had to like suffer in torment for choosing not to do it the right way. And so I had to do it the long way. And the long way finished up just in time. So I'm actually beautifully happy with the way things are going with the new PC as like a little benchmarking update. Mine is not huge, but it's that fucking glass side panels are so cool, dude. I've become really partial to having my LEDs on white. I don't know. That just looks really good because it casts like all my parts are grayscale. There's no color on any of them, so like it's really cool because it's black with white lines. So like a black case with the big white LEDs is real nice. Oh man. But no, how have you been recently in your, like, finally settled into a new PC adventure? Because you've been settled in a little longer than I have.
So I've been having some, like, bitch-ass issues just on my own that I haven't really talked about with you all that much. I've been having some, like, bandwidth issues, and that just came from the fact that I got my motherboard. It has a proprietary way of connecting a antenna. It's not just like the standard antenna that's been, around since the 90s. And
So, like
I
the screw
had
posts,
to.
or what sort
No,
of
they're
doohickey are you working with?
so instead of the screw posts, they're this proprietary, like, just like singular, almost USB stick thing where it does everything internally. And I was like, fuck me, what am I gonna do about this? Because I need an antenna.
What does the port look like
Yeah,
for it?
it is its own proprietary port. It does not have a name. It is Gigabyte's Wi-Fi antenna port.
Oh, it's Gigabyte's proprietary thing. Because I've got a port on the back of my PC that I don't know what the fuck that thing does, and it's like right there with the USBs and looks identical to them almost. And so it's like I should Google that, and I will. I just realized this is a motherboard I can just Google the specs of and get a name and find out. So I'll probably do that after the show. But I was like, God damn it, do I have two? Do I have both of these goddamn ports? Thank God, no. I mean, that would be cool.
No, but what? No, it's its own proprietary weird thing. But I looked it up and I found a forum that was like, hey, if this is what the port is technically inside of there. It's just like, it's these two little prongs inside of a housing. So if you get these little two prongs, you can get an adapter. And I was like, okay, I'll follow this guy online and believe what he says. And I try to plug it into there like I was instructed, and it snaps the pin into the motherboard. So now that Wi-Fi card on that motherboard is boned forever. And I was like, fuck me. So I pulled out this old PCIe, like, 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, like, standard Wi-Fi card from 2017. Yank it out, put it in the new computer, and I've just been having, like, hella bandwidth issues just because of that. So I finally, like, I got paid, and I finally got to put in the card yesterday, too. Where I finally get one that is, Wi-Fi 6, it's up to date, it has an antenna that I can screw into it and put on my desk. We're all good. So I get to settle in nicely into my new PC like that. So I got to have the same experience as you did yesterday, pretty much, except mine was a lot less taxing. Your issue was such a bitch to figure out, dude, because I happen to be, like, the more knowledgeable about PC building. I was like, yeah, maybe, like, I don't think it's a bitch.
I don't think it was a bitch. I think a motherboard BIOS update should have been the first thing I did. Do you know why? Because I should have had, like, the inclination to do that, not because it's standard practice, but because I opened the box for this pre-built, and there is a quick start guide sitting right on top that on the cover of the quick start guide says, please update your BIOS first. Don't fucking call us with an issue unless you've updated your BIOS first. You can do it. This has the instructions. Do that. And so I feel like opening the top flap of the box and being met with the text, update your BIOS first immediately, I should have probably had the foresight to fucking do that.
For me, I assumed you already did the quick start guide, so I was diagnosing this problem, and the way that, like, the motherboard is like the spinal cord of your computer.
Oh, so you think
it connects everything.
You've been thinking I'm stupid this whole time. Where I'm like, no, surely it's this thing I already did. Like, surely it's something menial, like just coping in my own horrific situation here. But no, it genuinely, like, that's why I was so just lax about, I'll get it solved. I'm sure it's not a hardware failure. I'm sure it's fine. Because it's like, dude, I haven't even done, like, half the prep shit that you're supposed to do. I just kind of started using this thing.
Because, like, quick start guide is always what I hit first whenever I get a new product, so I just assumed you did that. So I've been, in my own head, troubleshooting, like, a nervous system issue where it's like, this connects everything. This could be power delivery, this could be CPU, it could be motherboard. Your motherboard just could be fucking fucked.
It was just out of date. Your leading example was either your power supply or your motherboard is fucked because there's something wrong with the way it's delivering power to components. Was your thought? And I think that is the case. I think it was just the outdated BIOS misreading what my components were necessarily. Because I replayed Portal with RTX after this, just as like a little tester thing of like, it's a quick game that I can run straight through, and if I encounter any issues, and it'll be under load pretty much the whole time, and I can put a performance monitor up, And if it encounters any issues, I'll know immediately, and then I'll know my problem isn't actually solved. And then, like, it went off without a hitch. And last time I played it, I looked at the performance monitor a few times. And every time I did, it was like, oh yeah, you're using 80% of your VRAM to play this game. You know how much it costs me now? 20% of my VRAM.
God damn.
It just wasn't utilizing
That's
like half
so
of
much
what my
better.
PC had available to it, pretty much. In
Yeah,
every way.
'cause
Not
that's-
just the VRAM, but the VRAM is like the most noticeable difference, because that's the most immediate bottleneck that I have.
That's the bitch about motherboards and things like that, is that is the one thing that I have had to troubleshoot. Last time I've dealt with something similar to the problem that you were having, it was the power supply. We had to replace it. But because motherboards are just like the connection to everything, if there's something wrong, it's either like total fucking hardware failure, or it's like I forgot to update the BIOS. And I'm so glad it was I forgot to update the BIOS, because I was having to sit with this in the knowledge of like, holy hell. I kept trying to like slowly broach it of like, you're gonna probably have to replace your motherboard. Like, this is just what's going to probably have to happen. And I'm so glad that's not something we have to go through. Because
yeah, I'm not even averse to doing it. I would do it. I was in the, it's like asking me, like, it's like looking like at the new fucking Lamborghini your buddy got and going, you know, you have to drag race that tonight for sure, right? And it's like, no, dude, this thing doesn't have a fucking scratch on the paint. I'm not doing that. I'm not completely disassembling it, putting it back together in a pit, because like this thing is fresh as hell. No, you know.
Yeah,
I will simply like, if it has
like,
some kind of issue, I will live with it for the time being, as long as it's not going to be detrimental to the rest of my system. And that's the only reason. It wasn't even like I don't think I can do it. I don't think I'm capable of it. It was just like a dude. I really, really don't want to find out today. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I meant of just like slowly having to broach it to you, of just like,
yeah,
that's not
like,
something that anybody
because,
ever
like,
wants to hear.
Because like, not only did I not want to hear that, I was vehemently against that shit, because I was like, I had an inkling that like, yeah, there's a possibility Jed's right, but if Jed's right, we're in worst possible scenario land. So I want to explore every other option beforehand. So I was shutting that shit down left and right, as long as there was literally anything between me and that. You know?
Yeah, because that conversation just could not happen a couple of times, where it was just like, yeah, no, this is not the time. Like, because I know your feeling of just like, I just fucking got this PC. I just fucking got it, and now it's busted. Because I had the same thing with the Wi-Fi card of like, motherfucker. And I came very close to like, am I gonna have to replace the motherboard? No.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, yes, inevitably, I will have to replace the motherboard at some point in time.
Oh, yeah.
However, PCIe Wi-Fi card has been working just fine for me. By the way, Wi-Fi 6, I don't notice a difference between Wi-Fi 6 and Ethernet.
Honestly, Wi-Fi 6 is real fucking good. Mine has Wi-Fi 6 too.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like 6.1 even. Because like I went out of my way with the adapters to find like the specifications of it. But dude, Wi-Fi 6, I don't know if it's just because I have a range extender close by and like the source of the signal is like in the room with me, but like, dog, I couldn't tell any difference. Like speed wise, numbers wise, I've done the numbers, I've run the numbers, and there's only like a very menial difference between it. Hell, my husband is wired in. I'm on Wi-Fi. We're on the exact same connection, about the exact same distance. Our ping and everything is usually the exact same.
Yeah.
Any differential is solely just because any differential is solely just because a router will like it'll give preference to the like wired in system before it'll give it to the Wi-Fi system if they're both doing the same thing at the same time. You know?
Exactly, yeah. It is fucking insane that is the point that we're at nowadays, though, because like fucking last year, I was using Wi-Fi. I've been using Wi-Fi for a couple of years, and I've always, like, because it's been easier, because I've had, like, some proclivity in my system. Mm-hmm.
Like, Wi-Fi is immensely easier when it works, yeah. Like, when you're in a situation where you can do Wi-Fi, you should every time. Because, oh, man, if you can do Wi-Fi well... my ideal setup has 0 wires in it. Anywhere. Mm-hmm. But that's genuinely impossible, so I settle for minimum. So Wi-Fi is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. For the longest time, I couldn't do audio, and I still have a really hard time doing any Bluetooth audio just because of the proclivities with it, where it's like, if I have any interference, the last thing I want to go is my audio. I'd rather have less interfacing with the computer than having that happen, just because, like,
I
for
know.
me, with my
I went through
auditory processing disorder, I can't handle it. I can't handle the, like, clipping and shit.
I'm certain it's way worse for you, but like the audio is genuinely something that I would rather have. I'm just like I had that moment with the antenna where I was like favoring Wi-Fi like when there was no antenna connected. It's still like again that's another thing about Wi-Fi 6. No antenna. I was getting passable numbers. They weren't good, but they were like 60 down, 30 up, and it's like that's still more than usable. You know? It was just that like the audio was such an issue, and I was like, man. I almost wish I had no internet connection on this thing for the sake of being able to hear, you know? Because at least then I could play a game locally or something and be able to get into it further than 2 seconds, and then you won't be able to hear anything really for like a couple minutes because of interference, and then when it passes, you'll be able to hear for like maybe a minute, and then back again.
Yeah. And like for me, audio is the one proclivity, but it does get better. It has gotten better. However, like it's still not good enough. But it is good to know that I don't have to be one of those motherfuckers who are like, why don't you wire your PC? Because after like a year and a year of like, yeah, I'm using Wi-Fi, I know it's worse. You know, like bear with me for a moment.
What I'm losing.
I got so
oh well.
I got so sick of people going, why aren't you just wired? Because like I would talk to people about my internet issues, and then they would go, why are you just wired? And it's like, I fucking know why. I've gone through the troubleshooting. I know the issue with my router right now. I can't do wired.
If I could run
I'm doing fucking Wi-Fi.
You know? It's like a lot of the times that's what it comes down to in a lot of spaces is like, dude, I owned a 50-foot Ethernet cable from like 1999. It was fucking Cat 3, the goddamn thing. It was not fast. But it worked. It was faster than Wi-Fi still most of the time, and it still could carry the full signal over. But like the issue was, like, even with a cable that long, there were a lot of places that I would carry that cable with me as like if I need it, and I found myself in a lot of scenarios not even having enough cable at 50 feet of cable. You know?
Like that's
like
the
get
issue,
through like a residential
like,
home well enough where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna trip on it. It's out of the way. It's tucked against the wall. You know that because that adds like a lot of space. And so like having that wire running in a way that is practical is fucking difficult, man. It's a
like
pain in the
genuinely,
neck.
I routed 100-foot wire to my old room, and recently we like teared up pretty much everything out of it. Like we got all the carpet out of it and like cleared it out to an empty room. And the way we handled that cable was like, I couldn't be fucked with it. I cut it at every point that I could, just so that I could throw it away in chunks. Like, Ethernet cables are such a bitch, and once they're routed, they're there. That's how it is forever.
Yep.
Sorry, do you not like the look of this Ethernet cable nailed to your ceiling? I hope you fucking get used to it, motherfucker. Because you're either going to have to, like, cut the cable to unroute it or go through, like, an entire day endeavor of routing this cable back behind furniture. Like, I'm so glad Ethernet is dead, and now I finally have a foot to stand on. Of, like, fuck you, no, Wi-Fi's just as good.
Is if I were to wire Ethernet in a new space, like after the move, if I were to do that, what I would want to do is I would want to run high shelves in the room that I'm going to have to exist in with it for long periods. Like high bookshelves that I can put books up on, and then run a little build a little cable channel through it. Like just have like a spot at the back of the bookshelf that has like a dip in it in the shelf that runs along it, so that it like sits flush when the cable's in there, and so it can just sit in its little channel, and it can be high enough off the ground that I'm never gonna see it because it's on a shelf way back high up with books in front of it. You know. Honestly, it just runs the length of the wall, and then I'll put, like, figurines and shit on the shelf.
If I had to do Ethernet again, I think the only reason that I would ever do it is if my house had functional Ethernet. We have Ethernet that runs through the house. Like, it's just not fucking working. And it hasn't worked for the entire time we've lived here. And, like, I refuse to deal with wires anymore if they can't just pop out of the wall. So,
like, that's not odd to me.
I know.
You would have, like... Yeah, there are just Ethernet ports in my walls, because, like, phone cables are one thing. Like, the fucking phone jack is one thing. I fucking... You know, and I see them all the time in like houses and shit of just like, oh yeah, here's a fucking phone jack in this room, in that room, in that room, you know.
Yeah.
But like Ethernet is another thing. Power over I find Ethernet such a weird standard. This is the last point I'll make about it, because we do have to wrap the show pretty soon.
Mhm.
But last point I'll make about it is I find Ethernet to be such a weird standard because it for the simple fact that it can deliver its signal and power just fine, to the point where power over Ethernet and Ethernet over power are both options. Like that signal
Really?
and that cable type. Yeah, they make those things that like plug into an outlet and have just an Ethernet jack on them, and then you plug one in next to your router, wire it in, and then you like plug the other one in and you calibrate them, and it negotiates that for you like a wired connection. And then there's power over Ethernet of powering a device with the Ethernet cable, you know, and it's like that's weird that that's an option, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I thought
can
Ethernet
daisy
were
chain
all
to another
lights.
that way. No, it's really weird. It's a very light standard, yeah. Like you can't get like a ton of power through it, but the fact that that is a like acceptable way to deliver power to anything or from anything into an Ethernet signal is amazing. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But
Wi-Fi's great. Ethernet can have power over it. We live in the future. There's beauty in everything.
go
Everything
find
is
it
amazing
outside
all the time.
of this show.
Go find it outside of this show. That's our thesis statement, I guess, for this episode. You can find more about us in the description. You can find our card page where you can see more of our socials or the Fight About It accounts or any of that stuff or more about the show. And then you can look at our Patreon, which has all of our pre-shows on it and any bonus content that we put out there. Will be available. And yeah, if you're watching this premiere on YouTube or watching it with on release, we're streaming right now on Twitch. We're starting a stream right after this, probably, assuming all goes to plan. And if not, I'll tweet about why the hell we didn't. And we found out that that's actually quite serendipitous for we stream right when the thing wraps if we stream on Sunday. So come hang out, come talk with us about the show. And yeah. We'd love to have you. It's been a good episode, everybody. Goodbye!
Bye-bye!